Mourners filled the streets of Iran to say a final goodbye to President Ibrahim Raisi. Ibrahim Raisi, who passed away at the age of 63, ascended through Iran's theocratic rank from a hardline prosecutor to an uncompromising president. Thousands gathered in Tabriz earlier today ahead of the funeral procession for Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi. Mourners filled the street with some carrying posters of the deceased.
I was going to work, etc. From there to now. Now the thing is that it's very well known for the past.
Police officers and Air Force personnel, the entire military top brass was present.
Particularly some countries as
Global leaders traveled to Iran to show their support, while countries around the world announced days of mourning, including India, Pakistan, Yemen, Lebanon, Turkey and others. India announced one day of mourning and the national flag was lowered in Raisi's honor. His death was mourned by his supporters who poured in large numbers for his funeral. While his critics celebrated covertly. These are the visuals which came from Berlin. People who were the victims of Ibrahim Raisi's regime. He was known for his overseeing crackdowns on domestic protests and taking a very tough stand in nuclear negotiations with global powers, all while bolstering his credentials to position himself as the potential successor to the supreme leader Khamenei. Raisi's death occurred in a tragic helicopter crash in mountainous terrain while returning from a visit to Azerbaijani border. And let me tell you, Iran is ethnically pretty complex. 35% and more population of Iran actually is of the Azerbaijani Turk descent. Yes. So there is an ethnic overlapping between Azerbaijan and Iran. Azerbaijani Turks are common in both the countries, like Kurds are common in Iraq, Iran and Turkey. It's like Muslims in South Asia, Bangladesh, India and Pakistan. The crash claimed the lives of all aboard, including Foreign Minister Hossein Amira Zolaiha. The United States condoled Raisi's death and made a statement about Iran, asking for help in the aftermath of the crash. Let's take a listen in of what Lloyd Austin had to say.
Very unfortunate helicopter crash. We continue to monitor the situation, but we don't have any insights into the cause of the accident at this point. And certainly, I know the Iranians are investigating or will investigate, and so we'll see what the outcome is once their investigation is complete. In terms of our force posture, I don't have any announcements to make, and again, this is something that we'll continue to watch, and I don't necessarily see any broader regional security impacts at this point in time, Tara.
So what will be the impact of Raisi not in the picture. There will be an election, obviously, there will be a standby government, there will be a succession, there will be a power struggle, but most important thing is whether it's going to get more conservative, is it going to be a hereditary succession, or a new person is going to take over, because Iran is in a critical state. There are hard sanctions, economy is battered, and it is making the government in Iran take hard decisions, which is to go nuclear, and that is something unacceptable to the state of Israel. Let me play out the package on what has happened in the last 72 hours and what Raisi stood for.
Debris and mangled metal can be seen wedged between trees at a site said to be the wreckage of Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi's helicopter on Monday. The footage from a Turkish broadcaster showed parts of the destroyed aircraft in a misty forested area. Officials in state media on Monday said Raisi, a hardliner seen as a potential successor to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, was killed along with 6 others aboard the helicopter after it crashed in poor weather in mountains near the Azerbaijan border. Supreme Leader Khamenei, who holds ultimate power with a final say on foreign policy and Iran's nuclear program, announced 5 days of public mourning and said First Vice President Mohammad Makbar would take over as interim president. In the first cabinet meeting after the crash, the acting leader vowed the incident would not interrupt the government's operations.
This is a serious incident for all of us. It is sad and upsetting, but in the interests of the country and our people, we won't have any disruption. The country will continue moving forward under this leadership. Everyone should continue on with their roles despite this incident. In no way will this tragic incident interfere with the government and the running of our country.
The crash comes at a time of growing dissent within Iran over an array of political, social, and economic crises. Iran's clerical rulers face international pressure over Tehran's disputed nuclear program and its deepening military ties with Russia during the war in Ukraine. Iranians in exile in Berlin celebrated the president's death, while the head of a Paris-based Iranian opposition group told Reuters that Raisi's death represents an enormous and serious strategic blow to the mullah's supreme leader Ali Khamenei and the entire regime. The United Nations held a moment of silence for Raisi Monday, while leaders around the globe expressed their condolences, including Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan, who said earlier it sent rescue teams to assist, while even the U.S. offered to help after receiving a request from Iran, according to State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller.
I'm not going to get into the details, but we were asked by the Iranian government for assistance. We said that we would be willing to assist. It's something that we would do with respect to any government in this situation. Ultimately, largely for logistical reasons, we weren't able to provide that assistance.
The U.S. government offered condolences to the Iranian people, though a White House spokesperson said Raisi had blood on his hands for supporting extremist groups in the region. An Israeli official who requested anonymity told Reuters it was not involved in the crash, while the U.S. said it played no role either.
Raisi and his companions, including Iran's foreign minister, were riding the US-manufactured Bell 212 helicopter. It is a multi-utility helicopter used both by private and governments all over the world. As per the IRNA, the Bell 212 that crashed was brought in the early 2000s. It is also reported that because of Western sanctions, Iran's aircraft and helicopters face a huge shortage of parts. Elected president in a tightly controlled 2021 election, Raisi adopted a firm position in nuclear talks aiming to secure broad relief from US sanctions with minimal concessions on Iran's advancing nuclear technology. Iran's hardliners, emboldened by the chaotic US withdrawal from Afghanistan and inconsistent policies from Washington, supported this approach. In 2018, then President Donald Trump withdrew the US from the nuclear deal with Tehran, reinstating severe sanctions. In response, Iran began to progressively breach the agreement's limits. Indirect negotiations with President Joe Biden's administration to revive the deal have since stalled. Raisi's hardline stance was also evident domestically. A year into his presidency, he enforced stricter measures under Iran's hijab and chastity law, which led to the arrest and subsequent death of Mahsa Amini, a young Kurdish Iranian woman, sparking widespread protests. These demonstrations posed one of the most significant challenges to the Iran's clerical rulers since 1979 Islamic Revolution, resulting in hundreds of deaths, including numerous security personnel as well as many executions. Raisi's response to the unrest was firm. Acts of chaos are unacceptably declared. Despite being a political novice, Raisi enjoyed full backing from the supreme leader Ayatollah al-Khamenei for both his nuclear policies and domestic crackdowns. Under Iran's dual political system, Khamenei holds ultimate authority over major policies, but Raisi's presidency brought all branches of government under hardliner control, enhancing his prospects of succeeding Khamenei as the supreme leader. However, Raisi's popularity was marred by economic struggles and the widespread protests. His background as a young prosecutor in Tehran, including participation in 1988 death committees that oversaw the executions of thousands of political prisoners, a role he defended by stating his commitment to the security of the people. Raisi rose through the Shiite clergy ranks, appointed as judiciary chief by Khamenei in 2019 and elected deputy chairman of the Assembly of Experts shortly after critics like Hadi Gahemi from the Center for Human Rights in Iran described him as a figure in repressive system, though Iran denies allegations of torture. Sharing Khamenei's distrust of the West, Raisi was an anti-corruption populist who supported supreme leaders' self-sufficiency, economic policies, and backed proxy forces across the Middle East. His tenure saw tense confrontations, including an Iranian missile attack following the killing of Revolutionary Guard officers in Damascus, and threat of retaliation against Israel. Raisi's political career included a failed presidential bid in 2017 against Hassan Rouhani. Despite this setback, Raisi remained a prominent and influential figure in Iran's political landscape until his untimely death. In 1960, in Mashhad, to a religious family, Raisi lost his father at a young age but followed in his footsteps to become a cleric. His early involvement in 1979 revolution in connection with religious leader in Qom cemented his role in judiciary, setting the stage for his eventual rise to power. So today, let me play out those visuals from Tabriz once again. These are the pictures which came in from today, from Iran. It leaves Iran with a big churn. And the churn is not only because who Raisi was, the churn is also because who want to be in the position of Raisi.